What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? I'm doing well myself. Um, Day 18 of the Trump trial yesterday. We'll see what happens with a cross examination wrapped up. I don't think it did. Because I believe once cross examination wraps up and redirect happens, and then obviously recross will happen after that, we will get the prosecution to end their case in chief. All right. Uh, t- 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 so, yeah. So we'll see that. I didn't see any news about prosecution arrest, so I'm assuming that either cross did not end or redirect is going to happen on Monday. So we'll see. Um, their money's on cross not ending. Let's see. Yeah. Um, yeah. Anyways. So if you didn't see yesterday, I did a stream late in the day. Seems not to be my niche. Normally, I get some views while I'm doing my morning stream. I didn't get any views while I was doing my night stream. Or no, I got views, mostly on YouTube, um, but not on Rumble, which was weird. Anyways, not important. So what was I saying? Anyways, I did a stream yesterday, last night, whatever, about Assassin's Creed Shadow and toxic gaming lobbies. Just to check it out. I thought it was probably one of my best streams yet. I went broke down Yasuke's history. Turns out, looks like he was a samurai, regardless of what people have been saying. Um, so and I've left the links of what I found and everything. So you're more than welcome to comment. No, I found this, whatever. That's what it found. What it looks like. That's what I'm going off of. I don't care. Um, so check it out. Give it a like, give it a follow, but make sure you only check it out after you finish watching this one. Um, little housekeeping. Make sure you follow me on X at official W Ghost. That's the best way to find out when I go live. You can also watch me live on X as well. Rumble is rumble.com/with ghost. That's the main channel. Wherever I am, I'm definitely gonna be on Rumble regardless. So check me out there. Twitch.tv, or sorry, YouTube is youtube.com/at with ghost. Twitch is twitch.tv/official with ghost. And then obviously check out my gaming streams. I was going to do one yesterday, but my daughter was sick, and so I had to be upstairs and help out my wife a little bit. For Rumble, it's Gaming with Ghost, and then on YouTube, it's at Official Gaming with Ghost. So yeah, so check me out there. All right. I think that's all the housekeeping I need to do. So without further ado, let's get into this. So now I gotta switch shit around when I do this. All right. So Merchant is on the bench. Trump is on the way. These are apparently a bunch of Republicans that decided they needed to show up. They wanted to get their clout for, for being there for the president. The lawyers for both defense and prosecution are at the bench speaking with Judge Merchant. Both walked back to the defense table, grabbed a note for the sidebar, whilst Trump is sitting at the defense table with his attorney Nichols. And apparently Blanche and Hoffinger are the ones who are doing more majority of the talking. Sidebar lasted nearly 20 minutes. I guess we'll learn. Okay, we'll check out, see if they end up getting the transcript, see what they were fucking saying. I'm kind of curious. Sidebar lasted 20 minutes. It's interesting. Judge spoke with his clerk, saying, "I apologize for all the whispering." All right, Conan is back on the stand for cross-examination by the defense. Blanche grilled Conan for about 2 hours Tuesday afternoon. Wow, that was a lot. A judge told the jury that because the schedule over the next few weeks will be disrupted by holidays and conflicts, it may be necessary for court to be in session next Wednesday. As you know, our schedule is in the coming week and or weeks is kind of broken up by holidays. Excuse me, various conflicts. To how, if possible, it may be necessary for us to work next weekend or next Wednesday. He told the jury. He added that if any juror can't work on Wednesday, that's fine, and the court won't sit. Cross examinations underway. Blanche is back on the table. Oh my god. Fucking host. Okay, so Blanche is on podium and now is questioning Conan. Conan is being asked about his interaction with a former investigator for the district attorney's office. This is the detective Conan gave his phones in 2023. Lawyers for both sides had a brief sidebar. They have a redacted version of text being shown to Conan. Conan is reviewing text messages on a monitor inside the courtroom. The messages are not in evidence. Trump is whispering with his attorney Bove while Conan is reviewing the messages. Hoffinger quickly steps in, asks if the large swath of redactions make the text out of a context. Conan says, I believe so. She objected to them coming into evidence. After a brief discussion, Judge Merchant sustained the objection. Trump shook his head as Merchant sustained the objection. Blanche also asked if in one text, Conan says he was going to hold Trump accountable. There was another objection that was also sustained. And that we knew it was going to get objected to. He just said it so he could get it into the record. Blanche asked if Detective Jeremy Rosenberg confirmed to Conan that Trump had been indicted. Rosenberg was a former detective with the Manhattan District Attorney Office. His question is based off news reports and not publicly announced by Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's office. Did Rosenberg tell you before the indictment was unsealed in this case that they told the New York Times about the incident before they told you? No, sir, Conan said. Conan said he learned the truth about Trump's indictment from the New York Times. I asked him nice to find out about through New York Times articles. Thanks for the heads up, Conan says of his text with Rosenberg. Blanche brings up Conan's appearance on CNN on March 30th, 2023, after the indictment of the former president. Conan referred to the incident as a David versus Goliath. Conan confirmed he viewed himself as David and Trump as Goliath. And he actually said on March 30th, so before the indictment was unsealed, that you had Goliath on his back, didn't you? Sounds correct, Conan says. Conan confirmed he meant he was David and Trump was Goliath. Blanche asked to approach the bench again, but judge said no. Defense questions turned to one of Conan's podcasts. Blanche pulls up a clip of Mea Culpa podcast in which Conan gives his reaction to the indictment. Blanche, the judge, and Conan are wearing headphones. Hoffinger objects to playing of the clip for a reason she says she laid out at the bench, but judge overrules and the podcast is being played. On the clip from May 30th, 2023, podcast episode being played in court, Conan thanks the Manhattan District's Attorney Office and their fearless leader, Alvin Bragg. He goes on to saying, Trump's about to get a taste of what I went through, and I promise it's not fun. Picturing Trump being led through the booking process fills me with delight and sadness at the same time, Conan says in this clips played for court. What an embarrassment it is to the office of the presidency. Conan's voice on the podcast is starkly different from how he sounds on the stand, speaking much more quickly with a sense of excitement about the indictment. Another podcast recording is being played for the jury from October 23, 2020. Truly fucking hope this man ends up in prison, Conan is heard saying. He goes on to say, but revenge is the dinner dish best served cold. And you better believe I want this man to go down and rot inside for what he did to my family. So again, this is just kind of providing more, uh, showing that that Conan was obsessed with Trump and is determined he go down for what he supposed was wrongs done by Trump to him. It was adding more fuel to the fire. Again, Conan already has a credibility issue, and if you think he's obsessed with revenge and will do anything to get it, well, that again shows that there might be some more credibility issue because he may end up lying to get his revenge. Blanche asked Conan if he publicly said the work he's done helped get Trump indicted. I took some credit, yes, Conan said. Blanche asked him again. Conan said, yes, that's what I believe. Let's see. Blanche asked whether there are many more clips of Conan speaking insultingly of Trump, similar to the ones that were played in court. You continue to call Trump various names on your podcast, and when you're even doing CNN interviews, correct? Blanche asked. Correct, Conan says. Sorry. Conan, Blanche shows a March 2023 post from Trump on his Truth Social platform attacking Conan's own Daniels. He asked whether Conan responded. I'm not on Truth Social, sir. Conan says initially. Blanche clarifies that he did respond on X, formerly known as Twitter. Called him a dumbass, Donald Trump attorney asked. Sounds correct, Conan confirms. Was that a lie there? Because I mean, was that a lie? Because you asked Conan about a True Social platform, or about Trump's post on a True Social platform. Conan says, "I'm not on True Social," and Blanche says, "I mean, did you respond on X about it?" And Conan said, "Yes." So was that a lie? Is he actually on True Social and just didn't respond on True Social and just went on X? Interesting. I've been a lie right there. Blanche asked Conan about a TikTok from April 21st of 2024, just before opening statements in the Hush Money trial. On TikTok, Blanche said Conan said he was mentally excited about the fact that this trial was starting. Blanche noted that the paralegal was monitoring social media. That didn't stop you, did it? He asked. Conan said, no, sir. After citing Conan's previous remarks in the media about Trump, Blanche shifted to Conan's previous testimony under oath. Was that oath that you took every single time? So going back to all the depositions, the same oath you took Monday morning in this court? Yes, sir. Conan says, the oath doesn't change depending on location, does it? Blanche says, no. Conan says, and each time you met with a federal agent, you were told if you made a false statement, that was a felony, a crime, correct? Blanche says, yes, sir. He says. Blanche is turning now to the 2017 House Intelligence Committee testimony where Conan lied under oath and was charged with perjury in 2018. Blanche is asking Conan to recount the lies. There were a couple of different lies, Blanche asked. That's correct. When Conan said he stopped the Trump Tower Moscow project talks in 2016, that was a lie, Conan confirmed. What was the other lie? Blanche asked. I don't recall. I think those were the two. So as you can see, they're really going to hammer in on the fact that he lies in court or under oath. On Tuesday, prosecutors went over the lies Conan told before Congress to try to get ahead of this part of cross. You lied under oath, correct? Blanche asked. Yes, sir, Conan says. And you lied again when you met with a special counsel on October 7, 2018, correct? Blanche asked. Correct, Conan says. Blanche is pressing Conan on whether he has accepted responsibility for his lies under oath or if he blames Trump for his false statements during testimony to the House Intelligence Committee. You said you were accepting responsibility for those lies, for lying to Congress, but in fact, you repeatedly said, and you even said this morning and even this week, that the reason you lied was because of your loyalty to Trump, Blanche says. I worked with the Joint Defense Agreement We crafted a two-page document in order to stay on message. The message we all knew Trump wanted, including Trump's attorney at the time, Cohen responded. So you're saying you're accepting responsibility or blaming a joint defense agreement? Blanche followed up. I'm accepting responsibility. I read it and I submitted it to the committee, Cohen said on stand. Now here's something. So he's trying to lay the blame at Trump. He's like, I just did what Trump wanted. But all he said was he knew that's what Trump wanted. So he's never actually said that Trump told him, hey, you need to lie to Congress. He just said that that's what Cohen just says that's what he thinks Trump wanted. So, I mean, again, some credibility issues here. Blanche asked about a business associate of Conan's who cooperated in the federal investigation. Conan explained the associate ran a taxi management company and leased taxi medallions from Conan. So you pled guilty on August 21st in 2018. A few minutes into the hearing, the same thing happened on Monday morning. Judge Pauly has his deputy swear you in, correct? Blanche asked. So for context, the tax evasion charge Conan pled guilty to in 2018 were in part linked to his taxi medallion income. Conan confirmed on the stand today he knew before pleading guilty that the taxi management associate cooperated with the federal investigators against him. Blanche is now walking Conan through the statements he made to Judge William Pauly during that hearing. Pauly. No one induced you or threatened you to plead guilty, correct? Blanche asked, referring to the tax evasion charge that were in part linked to his taxi medallion income. As I stated previously, I was provided 48 hours within which to accept a plea, or the Southern District of New York was going to file an 80-page indictment that included my wife, and I elected to protect my family. When asked again if Conan felt induced to plead guilty, Conan said, I never denied the underlying facts. I just did not believe I should have been criminally charged for either of those 6 offenses. That was a lie, Blanche asked. That was not true, Conan said. As he did on Tuesday, Blanche again pushes Conan on his view of what's different between a lie and something that's not true. I was just using different terminology, Conan said. So it was a lie, Blanche said. Correct, Conan answered. I love that. You always try to say, oh, it's not true, but it's a lie. See, again, Blanche's got to continue to, bash into the jury's head that this guy's lies. All this guy does is lie. He lies. He lied before when it benefited him. Now he's lying now where it would also benefit him. Blanche is asking Conan about his meeting with pretrial services and about whether a court official was concerned Conan had not accepted responsibility for his conduct. Yes, sir, Conan said. When you met with him and talked about the offense conduct, you blamed others, correct? Blanche asked. Yes, sir, Conan says. Blanche pressed Conan further, zeroing in on previous statements in which Conan said he had not committed the tax fraud. I repeated what I had written as well with my attorney in the sentencing memo that I take responsibility, but I did not believe that it was a charge that I should have been, a crime that I should have been charged with. That in the sentencing memo as well, Conan says. So he's not really accepting responsibility. He's like, oh, I accept responsibility, but I don't think I should have been charged with it. Blanche is now referencing Conan's book Revenge and confirmed the Conan described his tax charges as bogus in the text. You felt, and I believe you still feel, that you did not engage in tax fraud, but you had to plead guilty to protect your family, your wife and family, Blanche says. Correct, Conan says. Blanche asked, in your book, you said the charges were 100% inaccurate. I was referring to the same thing, Conan said. Blanche confirmed that Conan has called the federal judge who sentenced him in the federal case corrupt and was in on it. Conan said, I do. When asked if he still currently believes I do. Conan says, I do. When asked if he still currently believes that Judge William Pauley was in on his prosecution, Blanche asked if he called prosecutors for the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York and Judge Pauley fucking animals. Correct, Conan said. So again, so this is just showing that, this just contrasting that what Blanche is trying to show here is that the Conan you're seeing in court is not the real Conan. So he's still lying to you. He's hiding his true feelings from you. It's what Blanche is trying to do by saying, like, well, you called the judge a fucking animal in your other court. Now you're acting all nice and peasy when you're not the one on trial. Basically, what's going on here. Conan's now explained why he did not feel he should have been charged as a first-time tax evader. His voice is getting more animated as he speaks. His pace is quickening. Again, Blanche is kind of showing that, hey, this isn't the same Conan he's been pretending to be. Again, he is lying to you by trying to pretend he's something he's not. A guy who's very calm and reserved and shit. You testified under oath at a different trial that you did not commit the criminal crimes that you pled guilty to before Judge Pauley, correct? Blanche asked, referring to Trump's civil fraud trial when Conan testified about the guilty plea. Correct, Conan says. Again, this is just going more to his credibility issues. He came here, says I accept a responsibility for my actions, blah 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 blah, blah blah. I accept a responsibility, but then just in a different court that the jury hasn't seen, Conan lied and said that he didn't commit the crimes. He pled guilty to them. So he's not really accepting responsibility. If he's saying you didn't commit the crimes, you're not accepting responsibility. Blanche is doing a good job here. Blanche interrupted Conan's testimony while he was speaking, saying, "Please don't make a speech," cutting Conan off. When you testified under oath and pled guilty, that you knew at the time that your false statements on that application would be used as a decision by the bank, were you lying? Blanche says, asking about the charges against Conan. I took the global plea that was provided, Conan says. Please don't make a speech. Blanche interjected, cutting Conan off. Let's see. The defense continues to press Conan about his previous lies under oath and his motivation for making the false statements. Blanche asked if it's true he lied to a federal judge because the stakes affected you personally, as Conan had previously testified. Conan said that statement is true. Huh! So here's this. This is Blanche connecting that Conan will lie if it personally affects him. And he has shown previously that Trump or Conan is obsessed with Trump and takes the whole trial against Trump very personally, as you have seen by his various tactics. So now he is, Blanche is connected, like, hey, he'll lie when it affects him personally. And the Trump, everything about Trump, including this trial, is personal to him. He wants revenge. Revenge is a very personal thing. He wants revenge. He wants to get revenge on Trump for what he did. So I don't know if Cohen got that, but he just got you lie when it personally affects you. So you'd be lying now because you want revenge. Okay, Blanche now returns to Conan's 2019 congressional testimony. Did you tell Congress, either the House or the Senate, that you had lied to Judge Pauley? Judge Pauley, Blanche asks. I did not, Conan says, but by not telling Congress on the Senate that you had lied on oath, do you believe that you were omitting important information? Blanche says. The judge overrules an objection to the question. I don't believe I was asked the question, Conan says. You repeatedly said to congressmen and senators under oath over the course of 2 days that you had accepted responsibility for your conduct, Blanche asked, referring to Michael Conan's 2019 testimony before Congress. Correct, and that I was going to prison as a result, Conan said. But do you agree with me that lying under oath is not accepting responsibility? Asked Blanche. Conan asked him to clarify his question. Do you agree with me that when you pled guilty to a crime and that you're lying, that's not accepting responsibility for your conduct. I accepted responsibility and I was suffering consequences as a result, Conan asked. That wasn't the question. Blanche says Conan got credit for accepting responsibility in his sentence, even though he lied to the judge about accepting responsibility. Again, I don't know how Judge Poley made his determination. Judges, as you know, have a wide range of discretion over guidelines, Conan says. Do you think Poley would have liked, Judge Poley would have liked to know that you had lied to him, Blanche asked. I don't know whether Judge Poley, Conan says. Your testimony is you don't know whether Judge Poley would have liked to know, Blanche asked. I'm certain he would have, Conan says. There you go. And he's just showing that Conan's lying. He hasn't really accepted responsibility at all. Blanche just had an exchange with Michael Conan that sums up his general tack over the last half hour or so, highlighting ways Conan has shifted the blame for his convictions away from himself and onto others. You blame a lot of people over the years for the conduct that you were convicted of. Blanche says, I blame people, yes, Conan says. You blamed your accountant, Blanche says, correct? At the time, you blamed a bank, Blanche says. Correct, Conan says. You blamed federal prosecutors, Blanche asked. Yes, sir. Again, doesn't really add the fact that it kind of shows that he hasn't accepted responsibility, really. He keeps blaming others. The question continues at the Kings, Blanche adding judges and Donald Trump, to which Conan also responds that, yes, he blamed them at times for his wrongdoing. Does the outcome of the trial affect you personally? Blanche asked, echoing a similar line of questioning from his cross-examination on Tuesday. Yes, Conan said. Ooh! Damn! Now, Conan didn't realize. I don't know if Conan realized this, but not too long ago, he admitted that when he is affected personally, he lies. Okay, so let's go back here. So Conan says he lied to a federal judge because the stakes affect him personally. So he admits, I lied because the stakes affected me personally. He just said that. And now he says, does the outcome of this trial affect you personally? And he says yes. So there you go, jury. He admits that he lies when it affects him personally, and he admits that this trial affects him personally. So there you go. I hope the jury was paying attention. It's kind of important. Conan Tone, he's again destroying his credibility. He actually just probably finished that credibility he had. Because he admitted he lies when it affects him personally, and the Trump trial affects him personally. Conan Tone perked up particularly when Blanche asked Conan about the corporations he had to receive monthly payments for the taxi medallions. There were 16 corporations, Conan said, going to explain why that's actually standard in the industry. Conan went on to talk about the typical industry practice of holding 2 or more medallions in an LLC entity. Thank you, Blanche said when he was done. You're welcome, Conan responded, garnering laughs in the overflow. So there was a sidebar. Prosecutors objected to a question from Blanche about whether Conan told his wife about the HELOC he used to make the payments to Stormy Daniels' attorney. It actually seems like a good question. Blanche is moving on Conan's statements to Congress in which he said he never asked for nor accepted a pardon from Trump. That was false, right? Blanche says. I never asked for it. I spoke to my attorney about it, Conan says after seeing it on screen. Conan says he reached out to his attorney to see whether it was legitimate, but said a pardon would be a nightmare. Blanche goes to Conan's deposition before the House Intelligence Committee in 2019, asking whether his lawyer explored the possibilities of pardon because you were 100% open to accepting it. Yes, sir, Conan says. Blanche asked Conan if he had a habit of asking certain people in his life to delete their communications with him periodically, like Pecker. Conan confirmed when it came to some people that was his practice. Blanche was getting at Conan's discussion with his wife about the HELOC by asking about a March 9th, 2018 statement Avenatti put out saying the money had come from Conan's HELOC. Prosecution objected to the line of questioning, and there was a sidebar. Blanche asked if he deleted text messages around that time. 2 days later, you deleted all the text messages that you had with your wife on March 11th. I'm not. No, sir, I'm not aware of that, Conan said. Blanche is challenging Conan on his past that he never asked for, nor would he accept a pardon from President Trump. Blanche continued to confront Conan that he testified publicly he would never accept a pardon, but then told lawmakers behind closed doors he directed his lawyers to explore the possibility. Conan says his public testimony was referring to the present tense. Present? Really? Conan said on the stand he did explore a pardon with Trump with his lawyers, saying, because I wanted this nightmare to end. He also said a pardon was being dangled. So when you asked, you never would. So when you asked, you never asked for and would never accept a pardon. That was a lie, wasn't it? At the time, it was accurate, Conan said. Was it, though? No, that's funny. Some of these shit is hilarious. Conan's just said on stand he did explore pardon from Trump with his lawyers, contrary to what he testified to Congress. And the defense is now grilling over how his attorney corrected the record on that issue. Your lawyer issued a public statement that admitted that you had actually directed your attorneys at the time to explore a possibility of pardon. Blanche asked, they did that to correct the record from your testimony in front of Congress, correct? Again, showing more that Conan lies, that all he does is lie. That even his attorneys had to cover for him, saying, no, that was a lie. Correct, Conan says. Your lawyers corrected the statement because it wasn't true when you made it, Blanche asked. Correct. Conan responded. Conan said it was a confusing conversation. Blanche raised his response. This wasn't a confusing conversation. This was a written statement you read into the record. Dude, come on. Come on. Can you, look at it. Come on. Blanche is now moving on to Conan's conversation with Robert Costello. After the FBI raided his home and office, Blanche asked Conan if during those conversations with Costello, after the raids, he told him he would cooperate against Trump, and Conan in turn told Costello that he had nothing on the President Trump and could not cooperate. No, Conan said. Blanche asked if he meant or he didn't say it or didn't recall. I don't recall, he said. Morning break. So judges again reminded the jurors to let the sergeant know whether they can work next Wednesday or not. Back in session, judge announced that there will be no court next Wednesday, May 22nd, after jurors indicated they cannot work that day. Blanche is back on the podium and cross-examination has returned. Okay. Blanche is going through several investigations, asking Conan if he met with them, but never offered or served as cooperating reference or witness in the investigations, including Mueller's, the New York Attorney General's, among others. Conan agrees it is correct to say that he is not a cooperating witness. Blanche is asking Conan about his attempts to end his supervised early release. After you started supervised early release, you made several efforts to have your supervised release terminated early. Correct, Conan said, noting none of them had been successful. He still tried. That wasn't really the question, whether it was successful. Conan has tried 4 times to end his Super supervised release early, he confirmed. Conan first said 3 times, but then agreed with Blanche, who corrected him that it's been 4 failed attempts. Blanche asked if he wanted to be released early because of his cooperation with the ongoing investigation. But this whole time, all the meetings, you were never offered a cooperation agreement, and you were never a cooperating witness, Blanche says. That's correct. Blanche asked if Conan recalled whether he testified in October 2023 that he refused a substantial assistance letter. I do, Conan said, but that's not true, is it? It's true, Conan said. Conan continues, yes, it's true. The 5K1 concept to lower the sentence was given to Guy Petriello, my lawyer. That was after I had pled after the 48 hours that I was given to plea. So I turned around and said, I'm not interested, so let's not even talk. Blanche asked, who did you say that to? Guy Petriello, my lawyer. Blanche is asking Conan about his desire to work at the White House, specifically wanting to be considered for the White House Chief of Staff. I would like to have it considered for ego purposes, Conan says, reiterating his testimony from earlier this week. Blanche asked whether he recalls an arguments at sentencing about his wanting a role at the White House. Hoffinger objected, and attorneys had a brief sidebar. Sorry. I think my daughter's got music. The defense has been pressing Conan about whether he wanted to work in the White House, potentially as chief of staff to Trump. Blanche has asked repeatedly whether it's true that Conan only wanted to be considered for ego purposes, as he had testified. Conan has stood by the remark. Blanche is now reviewing texts between Conan and his daughter, where they discussed whether he would be chief of staff. In the message, Conan's daughter says he read that Rhinus Priebus, who did eventually become Trump's first chief of staff, was being considered. Inga said he's pushing like a madman, Blanche says, referring to Conan's comments in the messages. When Trump picked Priebus, Blanche asked whether it's true. Conan told his daughter he was disappointed, that I wasn't considered. Yes, sir. Blanche says, sticking to the distinction he made by merely wanting to be listed among the potential picks. Blanche continues to push Conan on his desire to be part of Trump's administration. In the text, Conan told his daughter, with him now, he wants me to go, just not sure the position. Conan acknowledged he told his daughter that Trump was not happy with the title I wanted. Blanche pushed Conan to admit he wanted the position of special counsel to the president within the Trump administration. My daughter may have called it special counsel to the president. The role I had asked President Trump was for personal attorney to the president, Conan said, adding he wanted a hybrid role with access to Trump, but outside the government. Blanche asked Conan if he was despondent when the former president of Goldman Sachs, Gary Cohn, got a post in the White House, but not him. Conan said no, but Blanche confronted him with text with his daughter about the situation, noting he was having a hard time just getting tickets to President Trump's inauguration in 2017. Conan confirms that on the stand. Let's see. Defense continues to paint a picture of Conan spurring by the incoming Trump administration, asking more questions about Conan's role in his perceived treatment by his longtime client. Your daughter said the president and his new people were walking all over you. Blanche asked, yes, sir. You agreed with that, didn't you? Blanche asked, at the time. But you were disappointed that after all the work that you had done with Trump for 9.5 years, nobody, including Trump, offered you a position in the White House. That's not accurate, Conan said. Moving on to Conan's conversation with Daryl Scott, a member of Trump's Diversity Coalition, Blanche asked, did you express disappointment to Pastor Scott repeatedly that the president hadn't brought you into the administration. Not as an administration, I knew the role I wanted. I may have expressed frustration, Conan testified. Conan asked why. Conan needed to have someone put in a good word. When he had testified, he had spoken to Trump almost every day during the campaign. Conan acknowledged that it's always good to have somebody else advocate. When asked what he wanted Scott to tell Trump, he says how important it is the diversity coalition as a basis for the campaign and success. Blanche asked Conan about using fake legal cases to support his application for early termination or supervised release. Again, dude keeps fucking lying. As part of the application, do you recall there were fake legal cases, including a letter around the application? Prosecution objected, but judge allowed the question. Conan looked at the jury and explained how he used AI to search for court cases. Conan says the cases weren't accurate. When you say inaccurate, you mean the cases didn't exist? Blanche asked. Under the specific citation, that is correct, Conan says. Blanche follows up. In the 3 cases you gave to your attorney, were not real cases. That's correct, Conan conceded. While Conan was giving his explanation about the AI cases, Blanche confirmed that he had been disbarred and was no longer a lawyer at the time. He provided his attorney with the fake cases. So while trying to apply for early release, he lied and used fake cases for its application. And again, he's not accepting any responsibility here. He's like, oh no, it's the AI fault for the search for the court cases. The 3 cases that you gave to your attorney were not real cases. Oh man, that's hilarious. Again, all this dude does is lie, 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 lie. All right, Blanche is now shifting his questioning to October 2016 and moving money from his home equity line, HEDLOC, or into the LLC to wire the money to Davidson, Daniels' attorney. He confronted Conan about the logistics of how he called Schuyler, Trump's ex-bodyguard and former director of Oval Operations, and spoke to Trump to discuss Daniels' matter and the resolution of it. Blanche asked Conan how the call worked and asked if Schuyler put Trump on speaker or talked privately. Conan said both would occur, and he didn't recall this specific call. Really? Blanche is leaning on the... So it's interesting, something fairly important, discussing the Daniels case. He remembered a lot about the Daniels case, but doesn't recall this specific call. That's kind of interesting. Kind of smells like a lie. Like, it's just like this guy just lies. Just lies. Let's see. Trump's attorney, Blanche, is asking about a call on the evening of October. On the evening of October 24, 2016, Conan testified he told Trump in the call that Daniels' hush money deal was funded. We talked about the matter and that it was resolved. Blanche asked if he previously discussed this call with prosecutors, suggesting that Conan did not mention it at the time. Conan says he doesn't recall, so Blanche offers to call up the testimony. After an objection from the prosecution huddled between the lawyers, Conan looked at the transcript to his meeting with prosecutors and eventually says he does have recollection of talking with them about the call. Okay, it's not important. Oh, really? We just jump past that? That's irritating. Blanche is asking Conan about number of harassing calls Conan was receiving around the time he testified about or before the grand jury. Do you remember that on the 24th at around 7 p.m. at night, the person who was harassing you forgot to block their number and you got their number? Blanche asked. No, sir. Let me show you, Blanche says as he begins to cite a text message. According to Conan, the person texted Conan texted that person would have to explain to the Secret Service, and the person replied, "I'm 14. Please don't do this." Do you recall at 7:48 p.m. texting Schuyler about this 14-year-old? Blanche asked. I don't recall. He says Conan asked who he should speak to, and Schuyler, Trump's former bodyguard, replied at 8:02 p.m. according to Blanche, telling Conan to call him. Blanche has pulled up a call log from that time of some pivotal conversations involving Conan, Trump's former bodyguard Schuyler. Blanche is asking Conan to confirm that when he called Schuyler on one occasion, the intent of the phone call was to actually speak to Trump about the Daniels deal. Jurors are now seeing the text exchange between Schuyler, Trump's former bodyguard, and Conan. The numbers weren't redacted, so they weren't shown in court. Blanche is now pressing Conan over his prior testimony that he had spoken to Trump about resolving the Daniels hush money payment in October in an October 2016 phone call. God damn it, fucking kids. Blanche has been shown text messages and a call log that says he indicated Conan was asking Trump's bodyguard Schuyler for help with harassments he was receiving, not calling Schuyler in order to speak with Trump about Daniels, as he testified Monday. Conan insists that while part of the correspondence was regarding harassment, I know that Keith was with Mr. Trump at the time, and there was more potential than this. Really? Blanche asked skeptically whether Conan really had enough to update Schuyler about all the harassment problems we were having, and also update Trump about the status of the Daniels situation, because he had to keep him informed. I always ran everything by the boss immediately, and in this case, I would have been saying everything's been taken care of, it's been resolved. Conan says, maintaining his composure. Conan says he testified about the nature of the call based on what was going on, and based upon the text message so on, based on the other texts messages about the Stormy Daniels matter. Blanche challenged Conan to confirm that his trial testimony was based on the material prosecution showed him in preparation for questioning, not his own reflection. Yes, that refreshed my recollection, Conan said calmly. Lunch break. Back in court, back in session. Prosecutors are asking Judge clarified the record over the questions about unsealing the Trump indictment, arguing that Blanche questions had suggested there was impropriety with the district attorney's office over an apparent leak of the indictment. Merchant says he's going to give Blanche the chance to clean up the potential for misunderstanding by the jury before deciding whether he needs to give a curative instruction. Merchant said a juror has told the court they have an appointment next Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Blanche is on the stand. Blanche begins by asking Conan whether he has any evidence that anyone at the DA improperly leaked or even leaked at all the indictment before it was unsealed. No, sir, Conan says. Blanche continues asking about the indictment, and the judge asks the lawyers to briefly approach. He's back at the podium. Blanche reminds that he went on TV that day. When you did those interviews, the indictment was unsealed by the court, correct? Blanche asks. I had read through the New York Times article, Blanche says. By the time you were on CNN, it was all public, correct? Blanche asks. Yes, Conan says. Jury is now seeing text exchange Conan had with 14-year-old who he says was harassing him by phone. 2016. Conan testified earlier that day. The teen had failed to block his number at one point, giving Conan the ability to see who was calling him repeatedly. The text is shown in court show Conan telling the recipient that the number has been sent to the U.S. Secret Service. He apologized since it wasn't them making calls, so their friend had told them to call. This number has just been sent to the Secret Service for your ongoing continued harassing calls over the past 3 days. Conan writes, if you're a minor, I suggest you notify your parent or guardian. I didn't do it, the other person texts back. I'm adding I'm 14, please don't. Conan wrote back for the teen's parents or guardians to contact him before the Secret Service reaches out to them. Blanche says he's going back chronologically over Conan's testimony. Blanche turns his questioning to a website Conan created in 2011, shouldtrumprun.com. Conan confirmed the website was a stunt, but confirmed he personally worked with the National Enquirer on a story after they conducted a poll that show's reader responded positively to the idea of Trump running for president. Conan also confirmed that the National Enquirer then wrote a positive story about Conan for shouldtrumprun.com. Blanche asked whether Conan worked very hard to get positive stories into the press about Trump and the things he was doing. Yes, Conan says. Blanche asked if Conan was also worked very hard to make sure there were positive stories about him at the time. Yes, sir, Conan replies. Blanche asked Conan about how he worked with journalists, both for positive stories and for negative stories. Conan said it was my routine to advise Mr. Trump because the story I was going to put out is not the way he would want it. One, it would cause him to blow up on me, and two, it would probably be the end of my job. Conan acknowledged it was fair to say that Conan often responded to journalists about negative stories. Blanche asked Conan about the frustration from the Trump campaign in 2016 when he was going off message. Conan says he was not part of the campaign, he was a surrogate. Your testimony is a frustration towards you didn't come from Trump, it came from campaign staffers. Correct, Conan said. Blanche is asking Conan about his first conversation with Trump after becoming aware of posts about Daniels on the gossip site, thedirty.com. Fair to say the first time he heard about the story with Daniels, when he talked to Trump about it, he said he was worried about what his family would think, correct? Blanche asked, yes, as well, of course, for the brand, Conan says. Blanche asked Conan if he told law enforcement in February of 2021, the first thing that Trump said to you was that his family wouldn't like that very much. Conan says that's true. Blanche is asking Conan about his relationship with New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman. He confirms he feels he had a strong relation with her and they've known each other for 20 years now. Haberman is in courtroom. Blanche asked Conan whether he recorded phone conversations with reporters. Conan said he wouldn't characterize it as a lot. Blanche asked how many. Conan said about 40 phone conversations. I would say a lot. I would say that's a lot. Trump turned and smiled in exchange with Nichols. Conan said he stopped recording calls with reporters after the 2016 presidential election. Blanche asked him to clarify he didn't record calls with reporters in 2017 and 2018. Conan said, I would have to check. We'll check together in a minute, Blanche said. Blanche asked Conan, by the way, did you tell people you were recording? No, sir, Conan replied. Blanche followed up, asking if people asked Conan if he was recording them, and he told them he wasn't. I don't remember that specifically. It's not illegal in New York, Conan said. But it is a little scummy to record someone without their knowledge. So that, again, the prosecution is saying that, regardless of whether it was illegal or not, or the defense is, regardless of whether it's illegal or not, they're kind of, it's. I think anyone's gut reaction to being recorded and not knowing about it is like, this is kind of scummy. Let's see. Blanche asked Conan whether there are 95 secret recordings on his cell phone, which Conan confirms. Conan recalls one of the recorded conversations was with former CNN president Jeff Zucker. Conan is asked about the ethics of recording conversations with Trump. After referencing the 2016 recording jury heard, Blanche asked, "You understand it's not ethical for a lawyer to record a conversation with their client." Conan agrees and then adds that recording client conversations is permitted under the crime fraud exception. Just so I understand, you surreptitiously recorded your client so you could play a privileged recorded communication between you and your client with a third party. Blanche says that's correct. Again, very scummy. And it's interesting. This is what I think. This is like one of the only conversations with Trump. And again, I hope Blanche points this out that this wasn't, he didn't do this uh, because of the crime fraud exception. He did this to kind of motivate a Pecker, show like, hey, calm down. So this wasn't a conversation with privilege. You really like a conversation, breaking privilege or anything like that, because it was a conversation. Well, kind of is, because whenever you're talking to a lawyer about legal matters, kind of privilege. So maybe this was legal, but anyways, but you weren't doing this like for a court or anything. You're doing this to go to a third party that was not a lawyer to show them whether you did or not. That was your intention. Again, very scummy. Blanche is now turning to the 2015 Trump Tower meeting, and Pecker he asked Conan about his testimony about that the power of the tabloid was its placement in supermarkets. Had you ever told anybody that before your testimony this week? Not that I recall, Conan says. Blanche then suggests to Conan, you learn about what Pecker testified about in this trial, implying he heard the line from Pecker. Conan disputed this assertion. That's actually a very good point. Again, he's showing that this guy's a liar, and he's tailing his conversation to what was said already in trial to make himself look more credible. That's what he's saying without saying. Blanche is now turning to AMI's payment to former Trump Tower employee or doorbell Dino Sajudin to suppress his false claims that Trump had an alleged love child with the maid. Blanche asked, money was paid to keep the story from getting out, but the story was false, correct? I believe so, yes. Conan says, do you have any doubt in your mind it's false? Blanche asks, no, sir. So now this is showing that, yeah, they'll pay money even if the story is false. So that's getting, that's saying like, this is like a little subpart thing where it's like, hey, to the media, like, look, they already paid for a story that's false. So just because he paid Stormy Daniels doesn't mean the Daniels story is correct. It's true. They've paid for stories that are false before. Let's see. Blanche asked Conan about his testimony that if the false story about the Trump Tower doorman came out, it would have a significant impact on the campaign. Well, the president didn't share your view, did he? Trump's attorney, Blanche asked. I'm not sure I agree with that. Didn't you previously tell the government that Trump said he didn't think this story would hurt him? Blanche asks, I would need to see the document, please, Conan says. Blanche then asks if Trump didn't initially think the story would hurt him. Conan agrees, initially, yes. Let's see. Trump's attorney, Blanche, is again challenging Conan about his specific memory of phone calls, a key issue regarding his recollection of discussing the Daniels story with Trump. Blanche asks how many calls Conan was getting each day in 2016. Conan says 100. Blanche says for the purpose of a hypothetical, he'd go with 50 per day. So we're talking about conversations 14. We're talking about conservatively 14K calls a year in 2016 and 2017, Blanche asked. Conan confirmed. So Blanche continues that when Conan testified on Monday and Tuesday about specific conversations he had with people including Pecker and Howard and Trump, you're not testifying from a specific recollection of that phone call, were you? Conan insisted that because these phone calls are things that I've been talking about for the last 6 years, they were extremely important and all-consuming. So while he may not recall certain specific details, he remembers the overall conversation. Conan continues. Does he though? Conan testified that in June 2016, that on a June 2016 call with Trump, he expressed concerns about files AMI held on Trump. At the time, according to Conan, Pecker was up for consideration for a CEO position, and he was worried someone else could get control of the files. The concern here was even beyond the election. This conversation wasn't tied to the election. It was a real concern that Pecker could get hit by a bus at any time, and you guys wouldn't have those files, right? Blanche says. Yes, sir, Conan says. Blanche moved to the 2016 recording of the conversation between Conan and Trump. Blanche notes that on the record releasing the record released in September of 2016, Conan made of his conversation with Trump. Trump was talking about paying with cash. He's not talking about Benjamins and dollars. He's talking about paying for something in cash and not financing. Blanche asks. No, sir, Conan says. Blanche asked Conan to confirm that Trump often paid for big ticket items like property with cash without financing. When you say he's very rich and pays all cash, you're not saying that you or Mr. Trump or his son go down to the bank with a bunch of bags full of cash and buy something. You're saying it's not finance. We're just going to pay with cash, right? That's correct, Conan says. But on the recording, Conan says Trump was referring to cash as money. He was, which is why I said the word check. Conan says, claiming he was telling Trump they had to use a check to pay McDougal. Blanche pulls up the recorded transcript to show the jury briefly. The recording cut off after Conan said check. Conan says he got an identity theft call from the bank that cut off the 2016 recording with Trump. He testified that although he and Trump continued speaking after he got the call, he did not restart the recording. That's kind of odd, right? He's like, "Oh no, this was interrupted," but I was done with recording anyways. It's kind of weird, right? Take a break. There's a sidebar. Oh, they're talking about the juror, the honored juror who says they have an appointment next Thursday. All right, now cross-examination of the Daniels payment. I want to talk to a few minutes about the $130K payment you made to Daniels. Yes, sir, Conan says. Blanche is asking Conan about the interest of ABC in Daniel's story, inquiring about who Davidson was speaking to at the news outlet about the story. I'm actually blanking on his name. Conan says before remembering it was John Satucci. Conan said Satucci used to come to the office quite a bit. So when Conan heard ABC through Satucci was fighting for the Daniel story, he recalls he was surprised. I was shocked that Satucci actually did. I mean, he spent quite a bit of time following the Trump campaign, and then, of course, he denied they were involved, he said. Blanche asked whether Conan believed that Daniels was extorting Trump. Judge overrules an objection. Yes, I recall making a statement like that they were extorting Mr. Trump. Of course they were. Now referring to the settlement with Daniels, Blanche asked, make no mistake, this was a completely legal binding contract, correct? Yes, sir, Conan said. Blanche referenced the agreement between Peggy Peterson and David Dennison, pseudonyms for Donald Trump and Daniels, asking whether these sort of agreements were common. An NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, a settlement between two parties happens all the time. He asked. Yes, Conan says. When asked, Conan confirms he still understands it's a proper legally binding contract. And there's nothing illegal about a statement contract between two parties, both of whom have lawyers. Blanche also asks. Conan agrees. Blanche asked Conan about work he did for The Apprentice or members of Trump's family. Blanche confirms that with Conan again, he did personal work with Melania and Donald Trump Jr. And you never had a retainer agreement with those individuals, did you? Conan agreed. And the reasons you didn't have a retainer agreement was because you didn't need one. Blanche then asked if he ever had a retainer agreement while working at the Trump organization. I never had a retainer agreement, Conan says. It's not just January 2017, Trump attorney says. It's from the day you never went back to your law firm and was hired by Trump. Blanche then asked Conan to confirm that under New York ethic rules, a lawyer doesn't need a retainer agreement for a client. What's up, Penzine? What am I going to do if I hit 25 followers? Probably nothing at the moment. Be very happy. Let's see. Where was I? Okay. All right. Yeah. So the reason you brought that up for 25, no, I'm not going to do a giveaway for 25. Well, if I get 25 followers, I'm not going to hit 50. So the reason Blanche is raising is because prosecutors noted in their direct that Conan didn't have a retainer when he became personal attorney for the president. So they're just showing that the retainer is not really required under New York ethics code as personal attorney for the president. Okay, 50, an affiliate. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Probably. I don't know. Let's see. Blanche is now bringing up a 2018 Conan attorney was sent to the FEC in response to a complaint from watchdogs groups about the 130K payment to Daniels. The group, Common Cause, alleged Trump had violated campaign finance laws in making the payment, something Trump's not actually charged with. Conan was asked to read a section of the letter his attorney sent in response to Common Cause at the time, which said that the 130K was a private transaction using Conan's own personal funds, and that neither Trump, the Trump organization, nor the Trump campaign was a party to the transaction with Ms. Clifford, and neither reimbursed Mr. Conan for the payment directly or indirectly. Blanche asked Conan if he asserts his statement is true because he used his own personal funds. Conan says yes. Trump either reimbursed Conan from his own funds from the revocable trust. Blanche is asking Conan about the statements he sent out to the reporters about the complaint to the FEC. In the statement, Conan says he will not provide any further comment. Conan points to the part of the statement saying that neither the Trump organization nor Trump campaign was involved in the transaction. My concern was that he would expand on it to Trump personally or some other account. Conan says on stand. Conan says I wanted them to believe it was true. He also says he called reporters he knew, called them, and told them this was true. All right. So they stopped proceedings today. Blanche was ready to move on to a different area in his cross-examination of Conan. Cross-examination is not over. Jury leaves for the day. Lawyers and the judge has some other issues. Bove is now up to discuss potential upcoming testimony from campaign finance expert. Bove is focusing on testimony about the general definitions and terms related directly to this case, such as campaign contributions. Bove says he wants to make sure the testimony doesn't overlap with any potential instructions the judge will give to the jury on federal election law. Judges will often provide juries with technical definitions of complex subjects to help guide them while making their decision. Let's see. Colangio is raising concerns about the potential testimony from a campaign finance expert who could be called by the defense. Addressing the judge, Colangio says nearly all of the testimony offered by the expert lies directly in the face of your extremely clear pre-trial order, which says that an expert cannot testify about the interpretation or application of campaign finance laws. As the defense alluded to earlier, the judge will issue instructions to the jury about how to define certain aspects of the law relevant to the case, and it is important that those are clear. Colangelo says the two sides presenting dual experts to testify about campaign finance concepts would confuse the jury. Then we got three people telling the jury what the law is, and we should only have one. Prosecution says there's a reason expert witnesses typically are not allowed to testify on legal matters, knowing the only judge presiding over a trial should instruct the jury as to the law relevant to the case. So now reading his original decision on the scope of expert witness testimony. Judge acknowledged the prosecuting concern about potential testimony from a campaign financial expert called by the defense. Merchant says it sounds like Trump are hoping their expert can build out the understanding of FEC Act and the law. All sides agreed they could not get into a battle of the experts, as Bove called it, with defense and prosecution witness presenting potentially convicting views of the law. We're definitely not going to go there, Merchant says. The defense will be limited on what they can elicit from the expert based on pretrial rulings, which says the expert can't testify to the interpretation or application of campaign finance laws as it's related to the case. That leaves basic background on the FEC Commission and basic recantation of the campaign finance definitions. Judge says he wants to avoid big breaks between some nations and the jury being instructed and charged and deliberations. The deliberations should not follow immediately after the jury charge. It's not ideal for there to be a lapse in time between summation and jury charge. I have no idea what the fuck that means. Blanche says he expects to finish cross of Conan before the morning break on Monday. Hoffinger says she will have under an hour of redirect. Judge said he will look into starting early some days and add that he thinks they could definitely stay late. Blanche says there's no decision whether Trump will testify in his criminal hush money trial. Parties say, Judge says parties should be prepared to give some nations on Tuesday. We do wrap up on Monday. He says if testimony concludes Monday, a charge conference will take place the same day. The charge conference is held to discuss the instructions to be given to the jury. Blanche said the defense could still call rebuttal witness, but if they do, they won't be long. Just looking through, seeing if they brought up the transcripts. Okay, so they never told us what the hell was all that about. Kind of sucks. Kind of want to know. So there we go. That's the end. We will have to see what happens Tuesday because there's no trial today. So I got to figure out what to do for a Monday show. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. I think the defense has done a really good job at kind of destroying Conan's credibility. Doesn't seem really credible at the moment anymore. He's like saying, "Oh, I remember that. No, I definitely remember this one, but I don't remember a lot of others." And then there's another plausible explanation now for why he called Shiler that day. Could be because of these harassing phone calls. Because Shiler told him to talk to him. Now Conan's saying, he's like, "No, I talked to him about both things." And then there's a bunch of credibility that they've pointed out, saying, and one of the biggest things that I don't think people really understand, maybe, is that Conan admitted that he lied to was it a federal judge when he was when he lied, it was because he was personally affected. So he lied to a federal judge because he was personally affected, and then not too long later, the defense asked Blanche asked Conan if he's affected, if he feels if he's affected personally by the Trump trial, which he says he does. So he just admitted when things affect him personally, he lies. And now he admits that the Trump trial affects him personally. So can you believe him? I don't think you can. I think his credibility is shot to shit. And also, even that, unless I don't know what else the prosecution has, but just having Conan assert that things were false, that's not enough really to say that it's falsified business records. Because again, you could be lying, and again, there's you need some backup evidence. So I'm curious what else they're gonna bring, because Conan's testimony is not the slam dunk that I think they thought it was gonna be. And again, like I keep saying, like him just saying that these items were false doesn't actually make it true. You're gonna have to have some backup. You're gonna have to have someone else say like, no, these were false, or like definitively say that these were false. They weren't actually, or something to like back up Conan, because Conan has no credibility. And I'm willing to bet when closing happens, the defense attorneys are going to hammer that Conan admitted that when things affect him personally, he lies, and he is affected personally by the Trump trial. So that should be the end of their that should be like the end of their closing statement. Is like, and don't forget, Michael Conan admits that he lies when he is affected personally when it comes to trials. He lies. He's admitted this to you. And then not long after, he admits that the Trump trial affects him personally. So is he telling the truth or is he lying to you? Something to that effect. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Give me a follow. And I hope you have a good day. Peace out. And I will see you later. Peace.